Hello, everybody. Welcome to Eden Fractal. We're here for our 109th episode. I'm pleased to be here with Tadas and Rosmari. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to get into a little recap and update about the state of fractals as well as the next steps for Eden Fractal's deployment. So, Tadas, Rosmari, if you'd like to say hello or anything like that, then feel free to do so. I also have a bit of a longer presentation today, too. Hey. Sorry if I cut you off at all. So yeah, I'll probably get into a bit of a longer presentation, maybe like a 10, 15-minute presentation to just give us a recap of the state of fractals, maybe a bit longer, but yeah, feel free to jump in with any thoughts or comments, and then very curious to hear your thoughts about it. And also excited to jump into next steps for Eden Fractal as well. Sound good? All right, got the thumbs up. Here we go. All right, so for anybody who's watching and is not familiar with Eden Fractal, you could check out edenfractal.com. And once again, welcome too. So Eden Fractal, as a reminder, it's a community that creates innovative game shows and tools. We deal with fractal game shows and tools, building open source software. We have a vision that all communities or organizations should have the tools and methods to make the best possible decision making, that all collective decisions should be fair, fast, and fun. And wouldn't that be nice? We have a mission to do this, to accomplish this vision and implement it via implementing fractal decision-making processes to society via collaborative research, development, education, gamification, and community engagement. You can learn more about our mission and vision on the edenfractal.com website. We have some links where you can learn more, as well as what are fractal decision-making processes, such as the respect game and on-chain processes that use respect. We host bi-weekly events where anybody can join, where we are optimizing decision making with joyful consensus games, and our events provide a great place to network with talented builders who are building these decision making processes and tools, and building these communities, building the future of collaborative governance, and learn the best ways to empower your community and help create a better future for all. And we produce videos too. We've hosted over 108 events now, and we have videos of each one of these on the videos page. So you can learn, you can share your work, you can join the stage and join us in future episodes, and we encourage you to do so. And we're also building the open source tools, which I mentioned too, which you can learn about here on the website and join the group chat to learn more and so forth. That's a kind of a high level overview there. Everybody's welcome to retweet and like and so forth. Rosemary invited everyone to dive into the world of fractal governance and powerful implementations of fractal democracy, such as how the respect game is evolving, and talking about the community state here too. So um, encourage everybody to like and retweet to help spread the word. We're building something that's super helpful, and the more people that get involved, the more people that spread it and share it, the better. And you can go to lou.mosh/optimistics to register to RSVP and invite friends. We love to meet new people and help work together. And the more of us that work together, the better off we'll all be. So you can check out the videos on edenfractal.com/videos. We recently, in last week's or the most recent event 2 weeks ago, we discussed the Optimistic respect-based executive contract that Tadas built and the ORDAO software. This is a really amazing way to coordinate on-chain decision making with decentralization in a unprecedented way. In the previous episode, we also talked with Vlad about the Respect Game app that he's building as well, which is really exciting, a really sleek app for building, for letting people play the Respect Game and do much more with it too with respect. And then we've also been talking about our most recent epoch planning, what we're doing to implement fractal decision making processes throughout society. We recently started our Epoch 2 over the past couple months as well. So you can see much more. We also celebrate our 2-year anniversary recently too. I'll go into a bit more of this as well during the course of the presentation. And as always, you can find all videos on the Eden Creators YouTube channel too, where we produce Eden Fractal videos as well as Optimism Fractal videos and much more great shows that we've produced over the years that are all related to fractal decision making and empowering the community, bringing people on chain, helping out the super chain, lou.mosh/optimistics, and you're welcome to register for all these events, including Optimism Fractal and Optimism Town Hall, which starts tomorrow. Optimism Fractal, I think you're probably familiar, but if you're not, it's a community dedicated to fostering collaboration, awarding public goods creators, and optimizing governance in the super chain. Eden Fractal works closely with Optimism Fractal, and optimismfractal.com is a place where you can learn more about the events. You can play the respect game, which is a fractal decision-making process, and watch the videos and learn more about the tools and so forth, and ways that you can get involved with what we're doing here at Eden Fractal. So much more details you can learn there. Today we were planning, or one of the ideas was to have a discussion with Vlad about this new respec game app that he's building with Lennar. It's not quite ready yet. I'm showing on my screen right now, but you can see they're building like login features and stuff like that. We gave a tour of this about a month ago, a couple episodes ago. So Vlad said that he'll have it more ready in the next episode. So in the next episode, I think we'll probably dive deeper into this app and how people can play the respec game and coordinate with respec from there. Shout out to Vlad and Lennar for building this app. And today we'll discuss the state of fractals. So I'll go over a brief history of fractal communities. I figure it's a good time since it's been going on for a few years. This whole fractal decision-making process is a phenomenon that we're in. And it's been about a year since Optimism Fractal. And so we'll talk about Optimism Fractal and a general overview of our progress, talk about the technical developments. I'll go into a bit more detail about these apps and some other ones that I mentioned previously. Talk about the growth of fractal communities in general, and we'll also talk about next steps for Eden Fractal. So, as I said, feel free to jump in or raise your hand if you'd like, Rosmari Tadas. But without further ado, I suppose I'll jump into it and go into the history and context of fractal communities. So, we have an article at optimysric.io. This is the Optmisric team, by the way, that founded Optimism Fractal on this call. And so you can check out this article to learn more about fractal communities and where this came from, basically as a high level overview. A lot of this started back in 3 years ago when a visionary innovator named Dan Larimar created this book called More Equal Animals, A Subtle Art of True Democracy, where he talked about how you could coordinate with fractal democracy. This concept had been around for a while before Dan Larimar brought that up as well. But that was where I first learned about it, and a lot of people in the community first learned about it. And this inspired Eden on EOS, which kind of forked out into Eden Fractal, as well as another community called Upscale. There was over 400 people who attended these elections, and there was all sorts of cool stuff that happened. There's lots of links in this page, optimistic.io/blog/fractal history. I played a big role here, as well as many other leaders. It's where I met a lot of people at Eden Fractal who have participated over the years. There's been about 90 people who participated at Eden Fractal over the past few years. Many of them started there. And then from there, that team that created Eden on EOS, led by Dan Larimar in the first place, started Fractally, where we had a Genesis Fractal, and Eden Fractal started soon after, where we played what we now call the respect game. At first, it wasn't called the respect game. Now it is called the respect game. If anybody's not familiar, you can go to optimistic.io and go to respect game, but that's the game that we play each week. That is kind of the foundation for this fractal decision-making process, where people earn respect at events and so forth. But I think everybody knows about that. So just wanted to give a quick overview in case people didn't know what we were talking about here. And yeah, Eden Fractal founded in May 2022, and we've met over 100 times now. And then we founded Optimism Fractal about a year ago or so. So much more you can learn about here. There's been a long history. There was some setbacks in terms of the community not being funded as expected and so forth. But we're on a really good path right now. So I want to give a little update. The progress of fractal communities has never been better or more exciting. I mentioned fractal democracy a couple times on the fractally.com blog. There's an overview of Fractally and fractal democracy and how it works and how democracy needs to be fractal in order for large groups of communities and people to cooperate. It needs to have a fractal component, similar to how trees and nature have a fractal component. So this article does a good job of explaining how it's not really possible to do large-scale coordination without this kind of fractal consensus process like the respect game. And also the respect game, bringing that playful spirit into it is also an essential part. James Smart, a great thinker, also wrote a more detailed article about this too, where you can learn more about the importance of fractal democracy. And there's also the audiobook that you can listen to where you can learn more about more equal animals. So since then, the Eden Creators YouTube channel has published many hundreds of videos about fractals. I mentioned all the Eden Fractal videos, all the Optimism Fractal videos, which has now done 42 of these, plus several other ones that were kind of related to help promote Optimism Fractal and these fractal decision-making processes. There's over 100 videos where you can go all the way back to the beginning of Eden Fractal videos on the YouTube channel as well and learn much more. And also the Genesis Fractal, we had about 30 meetings as well, where you can see many people who partake in this, and Eden Creators has been documenting this process as well to highlight the builders who have done this. There's also a playlist I put together a while ago with some introductory ideas about Fractally and Eden on EOS, where you can see some old playlists. People have made thousands of videos about this process. And so, yeah, with that, I guess we'll get into Optimism Fractal a bit more. So it's been nearly 1 year and over 50 builders have participated in Respect Games. About 70 people have joined in total with the other events we've hosted. We've launched the town hall and retro pitches and several other events that are in support of Optimism Fractal and the collective in general, building on Optimism Collective, Optimism.io. And we successfully bootstrapped the community and the consensus process, which has been working well. And in season 4, we're in our 4th season now. We've been experiencing quite a bit of growth in terms of development activity and participation and viewership and general enthusiasm. People are really excited about Optimism Fractal, and there's lots of people who are interested in deploying these tools that are built on the EVM with other communities and organizations. And these tools are almost ready to use. Some of them are ready to use. And we're also positioning ourselves to optimize Optimism collective governance and retrofunding with the Optimism Fractal core intents too. Optimism Collective is a really good place to do so. It's very culturally aligned with funding public goods and so forth. And so far, season 4 has been really magnificent. Big shout out to Rosmari for making all this beautiful art. It's been magnificent. It's also been a lot of work too, and it's been some struggles here and there, but overall making a lot of progress when you look at it. So I showed the website before for Optimism Fractal. You could scroll through more to see all the things we've done over the past year. Like we put together the Notion site, we put together funding opportunities, we launched our consensus process, the Optimism Fractal Sages Council, which has been working well. And we launched the Optimism Town Hall, another event dedicated to discussions about optimism using the Cagendas game that we pioneered here. We also launched the Optimistics team too, and we have an awesome blog there, and people can learn more about the superchain at optimism.io. Base Optimism Collective is a collective of companies, communities, and citizens working together, united by the optimistic vision. Welcome, Tamtope. Thanks for joining. Tamtope is a builder building on base, building some really cool stuff with the graph. Appreciate you joining. We're just going through an overview of the state of fractals. Feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to share any thoughts. We'll also have an open discussion in a little while. This is a details page which shows our community consensus or our our community intents and our kind of our operating manual that have been created and refined with our consensus processes. So we've taken great lengths to make sure that all of the gameplay and all the actions of Optimism Fractal is according to the intents, and we also update our intents. So I mentioned before, it's a community dedicated to fostering collaboration, awarding public goods creators, and optimizing governance and superchain. And you can see exactly how that works. Shout out to Tadas for defining and specifying a lot of this so people know exactly how we're playing the game and how it works. And we also have some historical notes at the bottom where you can see the changes we've made. There's been 3 changes since the beginning of Optimism Fractal back a couple years ago, or back a year ago, I mean. And like Eden Fractal, but even more so, we have all the videos for Optimism Fractal at optimismfractal.com, which has videos such as last week we discussed Builder Progress and Retrofunding 6, focus on governance, retroactively rewarding public goods creators who focus on governance and optimism. We talked about the reward-winning Optimism Fractal Hats tree that won the first ever Hats Protocol Hatathon, or it was a co-winner along with Let's Grow, which we had an Optimism Town Hall episode where we dove into this with the 2 co-winners. Shout out to Jacob for helping to build that. We teamed up for that. We talked about the Optimism Fractal ORDAO app and all sorts of great stuff we've been doing over the past 4 seasons of Optimism Fractal, where you can learn more about what we've been doing here. And for each of these 2, there's also show notes. Like Rosemary's been doing a nice job, really nice job of putting together show notes talking about the Optimism Fractal Hats tree and everything else we've been discussing in this meeting. There's always timestamps in here too where you can learn more. And you can learn more about the Let's Grow Hats tree as well as all the feedback. We've been getting really positive feedback too. We put together a feedback page recently, and there's about, I don't know, 50 people or so who have given like really exciting feedback saying how much they're loving Optimism Fractal, and just fractals in general as well. So we have that page together on the Notion site, and that's coming together. And then you can also see like tweets from Hats Protocol showing off the Hats tree for Optimism Fractal and so forth. So I want to give a quick shout out and let everybody know that you can see all of these great things going on in both the videos and the show notes too. And of course, you can watch all the builders here participating in the Fractal meetings as well as sharing their work and so forth. Tadas gave a great presentation of the ORDAO over here where you can look into it. Really exciting application. I said it was going to be 10 or 15 minutes. I might be a bit longer too, so feel free to like raise your hand or let me know if you want to talk or anything like that too. But I'll try to be pretty concise. Retrofunding round 6 is coming up, which is a very exciting opportunity where lots of OP is being dedicated to reward builders who are building Optimism governance applications or helping out with Optimism governance in different ways. And this has also been attracting different communities, like for example, the Upscale community, which is one of the most active Fractal communities. is now building on Optimism with several people building and then also advocating for fractals and reaching out to different local communities as these reset game tools are mostly ready. So there's been a big surge around optimism and fractals, and a lot of people see how optimism collective governance is a great way to grow fractals in general, and fractals can greatly help optimism collective governance. They have the Citizens House, the Token House, and there's a lot of opportunities for optimizations with Optimism Fractal that I've been working on that we could discuss a bit. We also have some videos about Optimism Season 6 that we've released over the past months where you can learn more about this. Check out optimism.io, the optimistic vision, to learn more about why this is so aligned with fractals and why this is so good for the world, really. And how this is really building a more equitable internet, the super chain on Optimism. And you can join the collective, learn more about how you can get involved and so forth. So a lot of people here know about that, so I don't want to go too much in detail, but just trying to provide a wide overview. Optimism, the super chain, is also the leader in L2s on Ethereum too. The market share in terms of transactions is almost 50%, 43.5% for OP stack and 36% for L2 for the super chain. So yeah, there's a lot of growth you can see in these metrics here. And so it's very well positioned for fractals to grow and just in general for Optimism to grow as well. I've been making missions for Optimism Collective and Optimism Fractal to support Eden creators videos and Optimism Fractal respect games that we might discuss more at the town hall tomorrow. I've also been making mission requests too. So basically I've been interacting deeply with Optimism governance and speaking with people about how we can integrate Optimism Collective with fractals more. So we're making a lot of progress there, and there's a lot of exciting updates we can get more into. But yeah, this is just kind of a high level overview, I guess. And you can check out the blog too. The Optimistics blog has come a long way, and there's a lot of great articles where you can learn more about each of these things and how Optimism Fractal is growing. So with that, I suppose I'll get into a little bit about fractal communities in general. So Fractal communities. I have a page, Optimysric.io/communities, which is it needs to be updated, but it has a bunch of communities that have experimented or used fractals in the past and started to experiment or use fractal communities since then. I haven't worked on this in probably the last 6 months. There's been several communities and organizations that have started, or many communities that have expressed interest as well in implementing fractal decision-making processes. So I'll add more here, but you can see some links where you can find out the Alien Worlds Fractal, at Sybase, about Aquedac, Roy Fractal, which I believe has like thousands of people joining in Uzbekistan. Shout out to Shakruz, who's been following along with some of the progress, and Eden Fractal, and he participated at Genesis Fractal. He's been leading events with over 700 live participants. So that's pretty interesting, although a different language, I don't understand it fully. And yeah, several other communities you can find where they've been experimenting with these fractal decision-making processes throughout the world, in Korea and China, in Upland, different games and so forth. So lots of details there we can learn into. Maybe I'll just highlight a few real quick. One, we had our 2-year anniversary where we heard from about 15 fractal leaders, including Matt, who's been working with the fractal community locally, and Eric, who's been working with a pizza restaurant to implement fractal, like a pizza chain. Jorge, who did the fractal Spanish-speaking fractal. Pascal. There's several of these people leading. Eric as well leading fractal. So you can learn more about that in the details in this video here. And it looked like my screen just bugged out a little bit there. But yeah, we heard from Joshua as well. Joshua has been running something called Super Civilization, where he's planning to make a fractal and build a network state. He's been attending the Network State Conference, I believe. Patrick from Nova Crypto has been making interviews with the Upscale Fractal Council, where you can learn more about what Upscale is doing. They've been running fractal on-chain, fully on Antelope, for the past few months, and they're also building respect game tools now. He has an interview with Vlad where he talked about this, and several upscale fractal members have been joining Optimism Fractal meetings as well. And he did an interview there with Jake about the recent HATS protocol, as well as an interview with Tadas about OREC. So much more there. I'm also happy to see Zal, who we met at the Optimism Fractal, has been hosting Zal Fractal meetings for almost 20 weeks now, and he's apparently getting some good participation from musicians. So musicians are joining every week, and he's been having maybe 10 or 15 musicians come, and they actually just submitted their first on-chain respect. Previously, he was doing it off-chain, but really cool to see. Zal joined Optimism Fractal, not knowing anything about fractals, and now he's running a fractal, and people are really liking it. So great to see fractals bringing together musicians. That's one of my main reasons why I got into fractals in the first place. So love to see it. Shout out to Zal. And yeah, super civilization seems really cool. That's something that Joshua was planning to build in all around the world with thousands of people, and he was a big leader in the Genesis Fractal. So with that, I suppose I'll go into technical developments. This is the second to last section, so I'll probably be able to wrap it up in the next maybe 5 minutes or so. Thank you for your patience and thank you for listening. Hopefully this is interesting. So I mentioned Vlad gave the overview of the respec game map. So there's about 5 developers, or there's over 5 developers, 6 or 7 maybe, who have been building with Optimism Fractal over the past. Thank you for the applause, Rosmari. Who have been building over the past, especially over the past few months. It's really the development's never been stronger and faster. But yeah, I mentioned this respecting app that Vlad is building with Lenar, and they have lots of support from several communities, from several people in Optimism Fractal and Upscale. There's also Zal put out this nice tweet saying that this is one of the most bullish pieces of Web3 he's excited about, and he's really excited about fractal governance through gamification. Patrick released an interview, as I showed before, with Vlad, with more details with respect games. Also, the HATS protocol interview that he did with Jake. Tadas, I recently put together this article for ORDAO, which is a code name for a next generation of Optimism Fractal app that Tadas is developing and proposing, which is really exciting. It works as a award distribution for respect, as well as a way to decentrally manage accounts. With respect, and the main component is the OREC, or the Optimistic Respect-Based Executive Contract, which super exciting. I could say a lot more about it, but you can find more deployment details here. And then there's several videos too, such as the Optimism Fractal Town Hall event, Eden Fractal event, and then Nova Crypto interview. And then Tadas hosted 4 office hours last week as well, where we went into all the details about this. So shout out to everybody who joined here. So really excited about this. This is deployed on the OP mainnet now, and planning to make a proposal for using in the future. Also, shout out to Abraham and Howard, who have been building an upgraded version of the Fractogram app that currently works in Telegram app. Thanks to Das for building this originally. And then, yeah, this new app that Abraham is building. This is kind of like a on-chain summer application that we had, so it looks a lot different when he's building it now. But those are some drafts that I made previously, and they've been building this app that can hook into ORDAO and OREC, and have a front end where you can play the respect game, make it really easy to play. So 2 different versions of the games and tools, as well as many other tools too that we have when you go to optimistic.io/tools. Many other things we've been experimenting with like respect trees and signals, other versions of Fractal App and Firmament. So we have good articles at all these. And then also, I think I forgot to bring it up, but if you go to optimismfractal.com/42, well, I brought it up previously, but yeah, I think actually I brought it up pretty good, but optimismfractal.com/41, the Optimism Fractal Hats tree, and let's grow. We now have the Hats tree, which can help to coordinate a lot of what we're doing here, and we can build it out in many other ways. With that, I'll move on to Sybase too. So Sybase, the original creators of Fractally, who launched the Genesis Fractal, they've been building Sybase, which is a solution that will have fractal governance built into it. And they've been building this a lot for the past like 2 years, maybe 3 years, and they haven't shared much details about it. But you could find it at sybase.io, and you can find out the documentation and learn more about it. This is it's entirely new infrastructure, which has many benefits. And it's designed to work with fractals too. So much more you can learn here, but just want to give a little overview and update. You can check out the documentation as well as the Explorer, which is live. And I was just peeking around in the Sybase repository, and it's quite active too. If you go to the activity and insights, they're building lots of things. There's 13 contributors on this team. I believe that this is still being funded by Dan Larimar, and last I heard from James Mart, they're planning to publish it in maybe launch a public network or something like that by the end of the year. I think that's the plan basically. But good to see all the progress here and excited to see more details. And then yeah, I also want to give an update too. A bit of a it's a bit of a different topic, but on Dan Larimar in particular, as he's the one who created More Equal Animals and inspired a lot of this, and he's also paying the Sybase team. He's also gone in a different direction too. So Dan Larimar founded BitShares, Hive, EOS, Fractally, and so forth, and Eden on EOS. But he hasn't really been participating in fractals lately. And just to give a brief update, he's gotten really into biblical interpretations and literature. He wrote an article about this and his ideas about this in his Hive blog a while ago, called God and Governance, talking about governance and God. And yeah, there's a lot more detail there that you can find out. And then also he's got a whole bunch of articles that you can find more on both his Medium and Hive blog. And he recently released a documentary called Revelation of the Stars. He has predictions based on the Bible's interpretations, or his interpretations of the Bibles, that on October 9th, which is 2 weeks from now, there will be a Judgment Day. He's released a book about this, a Biblical Tribulation Survival Guide, and he is encouraging everybody to basically watch the documentary, to read this, to repent. And I've learned a lot from listening. I've been following here and there too. So I suppose everybody can make up their own mind, but I just wanted to let everybody know about this. It's something that Dan has been a huge inspiration for many people in this community. And yeah, there's a documentary where you can learn more. There's some very interesting signs that he saw from here too. So yeah, you can read that. He's also encouraging people to fast too on the 26th on the Day of Atonement, and he is predicting like some really dire predictions too. So that's there. That's october9th.com where you can learn more about this. And there's a documentary which has over 2 million views now. It's getting quite popular, and the documentary does like that does outline a lot of his predictions pretty clearly. Um, I just saw Tadas ask, what's the page for the list of communities? That's optimistic.io/communities. So yeah, that's the October 9th prediction that Dan Larimar has made. He sees links between nuclear weapons in the Bible and stuff like that. And I figured I'd bring it up both to respect Dan Larimar and let everybody know. He encouraged everybody to check it out. And then also, even if you don't think like there's a lot of people who think it's like crazy predictions basically, and I don't know what to make of it, but I wanted to bring it up just also out of respect and let people know. And then also, um, as a reminder too, the mission of Eden Fractal, when we go back to edenfractal.com, is that all communities and organizations have the best tools and methods to make the best possible decision making, fast, fair, and fun. And we're aiming to implement fractal decision making processes throughout society. And a big reason why we started this and the idea behind Working Animals is there's a lot of huge problems in society. A lot of these problems that say Dan Larimar is concerned about, and also just in general, you look at like there's a lot of problems in the world, wars and conflicts and stuff like that. And I believe that fractal decision-making processes have a immense potential um, to solve these basically, to upgrade governance, to upgrade the ways that we cooperate, to build better culture and so forth. So yeah, that kind of outlines the importance of what we're doing here. It's really fun, and when we like to have it fun, and we like to make it fun with the Reset Game and make great videos, and we have a really good time. We've built great friendships, and also we're doing something that's really important for the future of humanity as well. So I just want to express thanks for everybody for being here on this journey with us, and I'm also really excited for the next steps too, because we have a lot of work to do to bring it to the next level and to bring it beyond. You know, these first few years have been rather small, several hundred people who have been building this, but we need to bring it to thousands of people, millions of people, billions of people over the coming years. We have Eden Fractal Epoch 2, which is a proposal that I made a couple months ago, and we're planning to play respect games again on base. So maybe we'll discuss that again and reboot our consensus process and really work towards achieving this mission of implementing fractal decision-making process throughout society. So there's more details here. Some of these details are also just aiming to help Optimism Fractal with Eden Fractal, because we see immense potential for Optimism Fractal to help lead the way with Optimism and the Optimism Collective, as the Optimism Collective is highly aligned. And yeah, we can grow optimism, and we can grow the world with optimism, and grow fractals with optimism. So that's most of my presentation here. Thank you everybody for listening and being here. Tadas did put up an article recently, or not an article, a snapshot poll, where he was asking for next things he should work on, and he's already given some of these, like the presentation on the org console, and I think that Abraham and Howard are working on the fuller GUI for ORDAO. But a couple of things that we haven't done yet is talk about the deployment for ORDAO. And for Eden Fractal. So Eden Fractal currently, we have the EOS built software, the software that's built on EOS for Eden Fractal. We haven't used that over the past 6 months or so, maybe a year. And we really want to start building more in the EVM and on the superchain with Eden Fractal. So we're thinking about porting over the respect from Eden Fractal to base. And maybe Tadas can share some insights about that. But yeah, that's basically it. We can also just have an open discussion. I know there's kind of a lot of information too about the state of fractals. So we talked about the history, Optimism Fractal stories, technical developments, fractal community growth, the importance of what we're doing here with fractals, and our next steps where we can plan out and build our strategy. So thank you all for listening to that State of Fractals kind of address. It was a bit longer than I said, so maybe I should be less less optimistic about the timing in the future. But thank you all for listening, and floor is open for anybody who'd like to share some thoughts.
Thanks, Dan. Was just checking out some links in the communities page. By the way, before I forget that the button for communities does not navigate to that page.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm aware. I haven't linked that. I probably should, but like it's kind of outdated. And so there's like several of those pages like that that I put a lot of work into at some point, but then it's not linked on the website because
Okay.
I don't know, just not like it needs to be updated. But I probably should link it because it is pretty good as is. But yeah, thanks for the feedback, and I'll add that button at some point soon.
Well, just wanted to make sure you're aware. Now, yeah, so what do we want to talk about the next steps for Eden Fractal with regards to deployment on basins or deployment in general?
I'm up for it. I suppose first we could just see well, first off, Tamtope, if you'd like to say hello, then feel free. We didn't hear from you, but I appreciate you retweeting and liking the things we've been posting and checking out your work. So if you'd like to say hello or introduce yourself, then you're very welcome to, or you're welcome to listen as well. Either way is good. And then, yeah, if anybody wants to maybe comment on just the state of fractals first, maybe we can have just any brief comments there. But I'm happy to get into the Eden Fractal deployment as well. But yeah, if anybody wants to reflect on more generally before we hop into the Eden Fractal deployment, then maybe let's provide a bit of space for that first. And so feel free to unmute and share your thoughts. And if not, we can also jump into the Eden Fractal deployment whenever we're ready.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I joined the space late. I was in transit most of the time. I just got home, so I'm still not settled in. But I'm listening in on what's going on so that, following along. And I just said, let me, unmute to say hello because I couldn't talk the last time I joined the meeting because there was a lot of noise where I was. But yeah, appreciation, the noticing what I'm trying to do on chain. And I look forward to contributing and being part of this community long term.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you, Tamtope. And also, please feel free to correct me if I'm mispronouncing your name. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Um, But yeah, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to collaborating with you too, and really appreciate your interest and plans to be involved with this community in the long term. And yeah, the stuff you're building seems really interesting too. So I appreciate it's nice to be able to hear from you this time. And no problem about joining late. You're welcome to join whenever you'd like. And also, I'm glad there wasn't trans. I hope you're enjoying your trip, and I'm glad that we're able to hear from you this time. I saw Rosemary put up a heart too, so feel free to let us know if there's any questions that you have or any particular way that we can help. And of course, you're also welcome to join the Optimism Fractal events as well if you want to earn some respect for the things that you're building on the superchain, as well as meet other builders and so forth and collaborate. I see Rosemary shared the Eden Fractal Telegram and the Optimism Fractal Discord in the chat. Thank you, Rosemary, for sharing that. Yeah, you're also welcome to join those chats too. If there's anything that if you want to just follow the progress, and also if you want to ask any questions throughout the week, then happy to hear from you there. Okay, see you joined. Thank you kindly. Rosemary shared Lou.Mosh Optimistics too, where yeah, you and everybody else who's watching can register for events. Curious, Rosemary, if you want to share any thoughts about the State of Fractals. I know you've been involved with fractals quite a bit. We actually met at fractals, we met with Rosmari. That as something I could add to the State of Fractals actually in the history. But we met Rosmari at the I believe 35th or 36th Eden Fractal meeting, and we had a breakout room with Das. And yeah, and ever since we've been collaborating quite a bit since then. It's been huge pleasure, and also to Das too. I met you through fractals as well. So yeah, fractals have really brought together a lot of great friendships, and made a lot of great things. So yeah, that was just a high level overview of the state of fractals in history. There's so much more we can go into, but so many beautiful and wonderful things have happened together. So Yeah, anyone else wants to share any thoughts? We'll be happy to hear from you. Otherwise, we have 18 minutes left. And I don't know how much time we'll take to discuss the deployment for Eden Fractal software. So floor is open once again. And Tadas, if you want to jump into the maybe we'll give it like a few seconds, 5 seconds if anyone wants to jump in, but otherwise we can jump into the Eden Fractal deployment discussion.
Thank you for the overview, the state of fractals. It's interesting to hear it again and learn. I have a question for you, Dan. Since you've been there since Genesis and Tadas too, actually. Now that you're seeing everything kind of on a tape in a way, you probably get like flashbacks and things like that. How do you find yourself in the current situation before versus when you just found out about the fractal governance? In a way, imagine if you never really stepped into or double clicked on it. What would you say?
What was that last sentence you said?
In a way, to imagine if did you guys expect this to happen, all of that? If when you actually like clicked on the Zoom meeting, like to join the event or to double click on the link to read about, oh, what is this? And take kind of the 1, 2, 3 steps forward after that.
No, I just thought, let's see what Dan Larimar is doing this time. So I joined the meeting, and now I wake up 3 years in or 4 years in. Whoa.
Did you have any expectations?
Well, I whenever I discover some new project, I always not any new projects, like, but it's common for me to discover a new project and get excited about it, and I'm getting excited about its potential. But most projects, like, it just stays there, like you see some potential, but you don't get involved. You just keep it in mind and you move on. And this, no, part of me hoped that it would grow into something big, but yeah, and I had no idea, like, how it, I couldn't have painted a picture about where it would go, like all the specifics. And yeah, if you ask me how I feel right now with regards to this when compared to the beginning, the beginning was kind of about excitement about what future potential, about it felt like a beginning. Now I feel like we are doing it. We are in a process. Like, it's kind of like the middle, but I don't want to say that we are in the middle. I think that we are in some ways maybe even in the beginning, but we are already in the, like, we have a momentum now. And well, this experience with fractals keeps teaching me patience as well. Most things actually take longer than expected. So it's not like we're like moving very fast, but I'm starting to feel that we are accelerating and gaining speed, and we have bumps, but we overcome them, and it was like really feels good. And there were times where it did feel like we were getting stuck, but something inside of me felt that we will push through, and that it will be just better. So yeah, so that's my thoughts.
Thank you very much for sharing. I replicate that. I feel the same way. Thank you. And I'm glad that you didn't say that you feel like now is the end. I was just hoping you wouldn't say this. Okay. Dan?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Rosmari. By the way, Rosmari hosted a show called Community Stories last year, shortly after joining Eden Fractal for the first time. And I had the pleasure of joining and be the first guest. And I think we're doing an Optimism Fractal stories where we might get more into detail about these things. So appreciate you asking some questions and sharing some thoughts here with some great questions, great ideas. So yeah, I shared a lot of the same sentiments as thanks to the heart. I shared a lot of the same sentiments as you and Tadas as well, and that was there's a very eventful click. It would have been very different had I clicked on something different. Life would have gone in a very very different direction. But I'm very grateful. I wouldn't change a thing. There's a song I've listened to where I maintain on repeat about how I wouldn't change a thing, and yeah, it's been very fascinating. I'm extremely grateful to have met you, to have met Rosmari, Tadas. It's a pleasure meeting Tamtope and all the people who we've had the pleasure to meet. I'm very grateful for all the experience we've had, and yeah, I did think it would grow faster in the beginning because at the beginning there was Dan Larimar's team and there was the EOS network who was supporting it. So I thought I'd kind of like play like a little role or something like that. But then I just saw huge potential in the idea, and for whatever reason, you know, those two teams that were supporting in the beginning with EOS and Fractally kind of both went in different paths and maybe supporting in different ways. But basically, we've had to kind of like pave our own path, basically. And there's been other people who have been doing it too, but we've had to like basically step up into this more so leadership role to make this happen. And I've been constantly driven by uh, just the potential of this idea, and like it's completely surprised me about how much potential there's been. I still learn about new things all the time, like about how profoundly helpful this could be in different aspects of it and stuff like that. And I had no idea about what we'd like learn and experience. So, but it's been it's been an adventure, that's for sure. And yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more adventure in the coming years, and I'm really pleased to see that it's growing and has more momentum than ever now. And we're in a really good place to grow it more. So, I think that answers the question and could go into more detail, but that's my answer for now. I'm curious, Rosemary, if you want to, if you want to add any more details, you said you agree, but and also we have 10 minutes left, so I don't know how much we want to get into the Eden Fractal deployment. If 10 minutes is enough for it right now, or if we should save it, or if we should have a quick discussion. I am curious to hear if Rosemary has any other comments on that because she just basically said she agrees with the DOS, and I'm sure that she could have more details than I'd be curious to hear. But yeah, how do we want to make use of this next 10 minutes, or we could go over if you want, but good to be punctual as well. So curious, Rosemary, if you have anything that you want to add on there, and then yeah, that's your Rosemary on meeting.
I would say that it's all destiny and it was meant to be, I think.
Yes. I have the same feeling that it's like uh, uh it's not like we strategize everything that happened. It's not like we've planned everything, but a lot of things like sometimes feel like they come together naturally. So
Yes, like the stars align. Should go well with your background. So yes, it's amazing.
Yep, it's growing naturally, rather like a fractal, like a plant growing in these different directions. It doesn't know where it's going to grow, but it grows and it branches out and it finds the light. It finds where it needs to be. It finds the firmament, so to speak. And I suppose one more thing I can add on that too, since we talked a little bit about the roots of it and the name Eden Fractal. It comes. So it originally came from Eden on Eos, which was named by I think Dan Larimar at the time, and then Eden Fractal kind of forked from it. But it has the biblical roots in terms of the Garden of Eden, and we're building gardens and stuff like that in a way. So and then there was I mentioned in a couple episodes previously that Jordan Peterson shared something really interesting on the Joe Rogan podcast when he launched the ARC Alliance for Responsible Citizenship, where they're also aiming to improve governance, and they could really use what we're doing here. About that story about, I believe it was Moses who was instructed to do fractal democracy basically as well, to split the elders into groups of 10, and those groups of 10 go into 10 more groups of elders and make decisions and so forth. So maybe that's another way that the stars are aligning. But I see a lot of purpose in what we're doing. in that way, as well as just the way that we can feel each day. So yeah, I think we're doing something really important, and not to overstate it or be like you know, not be modest or something, but I think what we're doing is really coming together. Like Rosemary said, like the stars are aligning and things are coming together naturally, and I'm really excited for the next steps.
Thank you.
Very good question, Rosmari. I think we really needed that.
You're welcome. More to come.
Okay.
That's right. Yep. Thank you. Looking forward to it. Any other thoughts on this topic, or Tadas, you want to share any thoughts about the Eden Fractal deployment? Deployment for Eden Fractal software. Do you think it's time to discuss it now, or you want to get into a little bit, or I'm happy to get into it as much as you think is best.
I guess we could briefly touch on it. So maybe before that, one related thing I was thinking about the meeting structure for Eden Fractal, and if we start playing respect game, like how do we play it? And for me, it seems that Eden Fractal would complement Optimism Fractal better if it was more focused on discussions, and maybe then use respect game to award the discussion. So play respect game with prompt like who contributed the most to this discussion today, as opposed to a more typical prompt that we use in Optimism Fractal. So wanted to share that idea and wondering what you guys think of it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I was thinking a similar thing too. I almost wrote a message in the Eden Fractal chat saying like I'm not sure if we should, I originally thought we would do respect games to achieve the mission, which is like who did the most to implement fractal decision making process throughout society. But at this point, like I think Optimism Fractal is already achieving that pretty well. People can also contribute to optimism in many other ways, but many people are going to Optimism Fractal and sharing what they're doing to help Optimism Fractal and fractal decision making processes. And I think that like the maturity of the communities, like it makes more sense to allow Optimism Fractal just to focus on that kind of respect game that people can share what they did over the past week to help fractals. So that kind of helps achieve Eden Fractal's mission. And then, yeah, when we did the ORDAO office hours, we experimented with a few different kinds of respect games. By the way, everybody can join those whenever they restart and earn respect, ORDAO respect. But the way that we played was to who contributed the most to the discussion, and we tried a couple different ones as well. But who contributed the most to discussion, we also did that a couple times at Eden Fractal when we were doing our mission and vision, I think. And we also experimented with some different kinds of respect games and against games at that point too. So generally, I think that's a good strategy to have it like who contributed to discussion most. And then also, I do think there's a huge potential too. Like I had a discussion with Rosmari about like just different ways, different variants of the respect game. We've tried different fun versions, like who can do the most funny thing for 30 seconds, or like we talked about like who can do the best dance or who could do the best music. We did that during Fractal DJ. Or like who can share the best idea about this. So there's lots of variations. I think we could also potentially experiment with that Eden Fractal too. So similar to how Eden Fractal we experimented with lots of different games for achieving our mission and vision. We could both change it up, like have some flexibility to say, okay, well, maybe we'll propose a different game this week, but maybe the standard one could just be like who contributed the discussion most. That way people can just join Eden Fractal meetings, contribute discussion, and then we play a quick respect game to determine that. So I think that's a good idea. I see Rosemary gave a thumbs up. I don't know if you want to comment on that, Rosemary, or Tadas, if you have any thoughts there. We have 4 minutes left. We could wrap it up at any time, but happy to go a little bit over too if it'd be helpful. I see Rosemary is muted, so yeah, Rosemary, feel free to jump in if you want.
I like the idea about experimentation and testing the respect game for different use cases, whatever, based on whatever we want to prove or experiment with, because that would be useful to show the potential of the respect game for different audiences. Right now we have mostly played the respect game for Eden Fractals goals, achieving Eden Fractal's mission and vision, and in general to track our progress and rank it. But we can experiment with making it more fun sometimes to play games, or just give different use cases. On, for example, relationships can benefit from the respect game in household I don't know, duties, and also at work, or in family settings to
So
promote.
we could do a role-playing game where one of us is a father and the other is the role-play a family and
I didn't think about this part, but we can think about it.
experiment.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that reminds me, like a while ago, I had also thought about using Eden Fractal for this, for testing out for various kinds of games. Yeah, but I think that path where we don't commit to typical kind of respect game that we do with Optimism Fractal, but leave more of an open space, I think that's more aligned with that. With that. I think we should, yes, I think we should allow space for experimentation.
Yep, I agree. Rosmari said respect game prompts and prompt experimentation. I do, especially now that we have the new apps coming out that make it really easy for anybody to play, and you can play like locally, like at a party or at like a dinner table or something like that. I have a vision of like you can have a game with all these different prompts, kind of like charades, and you can pick which kind of respect game you want to play. So we could kind of experiment different prompts here with family ones if we want. But maybe like the default is who contributes to the discussion most. That's a good default, and then we could try out different ones if it's proposed and decided via agendas or something.
My idea is we can think about different prompts and maybe test out some and think, okay, which prompts are most worth putting on the respect game app as like the 3 best prompts to go for, based on the use case. Let's say one is for at a party, and then maybe one option is at a party, and then you have maybe 5 drop downs of different prompts. Maybe another option is at the dinner table, and then so more so family oriented, and then you have a bit of a drop down of 5 prompts there to ask each other questions, like I don't know, like who did the most this week to help with I don't know, the chores, and then or things like that keep the conversation going. And also people get like they get more relaxed over time and start to share more and love the game in general, because not every time is super interesting when you have dinner, for example, with your family, and you not every time there's someone to bring up a topic necessarily that is interesting to everyone, and people also don't play too many games when they grow older. And I think that way is like an easy alternative.
Yeah, I'll just add to that too. So I mentioned how me and Rosemary met through Eden Fractal, and we've had the chance to actually meet up and spend a lot of time together, and we played these games with during dinner with my parents several times. We were keeping score on a piece of paper. And we played like what are you most grateful for, and like what are you most happy for over the past week, and what are you most looking forward to, and those like the respect game prompts. And it was really fun. Like we laughed a lot, and there's like it was like really good games that were really valuable, and like kind of brought out different things for my parents and for each of us. So there's like a lot of potential there, I think. And I don't know what we'll experiment with here at Eden Fractal, but we could play around with it and see whatever makes the most sense. And I think there's a lot of potential for experimentation. In that way, very much feels like we're more in the beginning, because I could see like many variations and multitudes of different ways to do different kinds of respect games, and that could be really one of the ways that grows a lot too. By having it's great to contribute to things. That's something that Nuno said as well. But having different kinds of fun prompts and prompts that people can do in person, that can add a whole new element of it. So thanks for bringing that up, Rosmari, and it was super cool playing respect games with you, and hopefully we'll all play more respect games in person soon too. We are a couple minutes over past top of the hour, so what do you think? Should we wrap it up here, or Tadas, is there anything else you wanted to add regarding the Eden Fractal deployment, or should we save that for the future, or we could also talk about that offline too? Or Rosmari or Tadas, is there anything else you want to discuss regarding like respect game variations or next thing to do at Eden Fractal? What do you think? Should we wrap it up, or I'm happy to keep going too if you want, but just want to be respectful of your time too. So.
I think we should leave the deployment discussion for later. I don't think we need to rush it, and for me, it would actually be counterproductive to rush deployment right now. In a couple of weeks, maybe. Although maybe not next Eden Fractal meeting. I'm not sure if I will be available, and hopefully Vlad will have his app to demonstrate. Yeah, but maybe later.
Okay, sounds good. Want to see if Rosmari said she's ready to wrap it up too, and yeah, so we could figure that out. It's not a big rush. We can also play games too in Fractogram. Tadas had mentioned to me in the chat, so that's a good idea too. And then we can always post it on chain later, so we can do that whenever we want. And then the season will be ending for both the Eden Fractal and Optimism Fractal next month too, so we could always deploy it next season, which will be in like 2 months or something like that now. So okay, well, sounds good. I'm happy to save the Eden Fractal deployment stuff for later, and I think we're all ready to wrap it up then. If there's any last comments, I don't think there's any last comments. I think we're ready to go. Should we go 3, 2, 1, go Eden Fractal, go Fractals, or how should we wrap it up?
Go respect games.
Go respect
Go
games.
respect game prompts. Go family respect game situations.
Oh, all right. That's it. Go respect game prompts, and go respect game family situations.
Oh.
Sound good? 3, 2, 1, 0. Go respect games.
Respect games.
Go respect
Go respect
game
game
prompts. And go
Go
respect
respect game
game family situations.
That was probably the longest shout.
That's
out.
yeah. We'll maybe continue progressively getting longer and longer in a fractal manner as we continue growing these fractal processes.
Yeah, then for every prompt we will have to say go prompt.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty soon the ending will be half a show. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Thanks so much, Das, and thank you so much, Rosmari, for all the thoughts here and all the amazing collaborations over the past years. I'm looking forward to the next steps. And thank you everybody for watching. Looking forward to seeing you at Optimism Fractal tomorrow at or on Thursday the 17th UTC, and Eden Fractal and all the fractal communities going forward in the world. Thanks all.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yes.